What if I told you an ancient teaching exists that will help you to immediately overcome your limiting beliefs and begin reshaping your reality? That's right, this is the Master Game, and I'm your host, David Lovewell. So let's get into it. You see, the secret esoteric truth of all ancient traditions is that they were designed for this very purpose: to break through illusions and to dissolve limitations, and to continually transform you into something greater and greater and greater. But to truly understand how they do this, we first have to break everything down and take a look at the structure of tradition itself. Every tradition around the globe, from time immemorial, has two components in common: a static element and a dynamic element. The static is a set of transcendent truths or principles that are always true everywhere in all of space and time. They're always the same. They don't change. That's why this is the static, transcendent element of traditions. They are beyond the realm of samsara and form and change. They're in a higher realm of the infinite, formless, unchanging realm, the absolute realm, as opposed to this relative realm here. And the second component, dynamic, revolves around change. So these transcendent principles come into this world of form through what we typically think of as tradition, a lineage of students and teachers that pass down the wisdom from one generation to the next, keeping it alive and guiding people's lives and society and the practices of different crafts and trades based on these transcendent truths that they know to always be true. So we have this realm of form and change and this absolute infinite realm where things never change. And there aren't actually things. There's just oneness, which our mind can't comprehend. And this is an important point. In traditions like tarot or the runes, which a rune means mystery. In tarot, you have the minor arcana and the major arcana. And arcana is another word for mystery. Other traditions fall in line, but I'm going to stick with these because these point to it to the most pointed degree with the language they're using to represent the principles, like the magician or, the death card, all of these things that you may have seen in popular culture. These are known as arcana or mysteries because they represent a level of reality that our minds can never comprehend. Our minds function through the comparison of opposites and realizing that something is this and not this. If we take away the separation and the opposition, we've reached a higher level of awareness that doesn't have mind or identity. We'll get more into that in a moment. That's the soul and the absolute spirit level of reality. For now, what I want to point out is that these symbols, as they exist at the dynamic level of tradition being passed down throughout time, they do change because they are in the realm of form. They evolve and change over time. And they are known as fingers pointing at the moon. Teachings in general are taught in this way to let us know that we don't want to look at the thing that's doing the pointing. We want to look at where it's pointing. And it's pointing somewhere beyond the mind's capability. So we have to evolve beyond the limitations of our mind. If you want to succeed in the material world in the easiest way possible, the same thing applies. And I will explain exactly how in a detailed map as we continue on in this talk. What I want to say is just another metaphor, where we have the finger pointing at the moon. We don't want to get caught up in the symbols. The symbols are representations, which is to say representations of this transcendent thing from the realm of the absolute. And all of the different traditions that exist are like paths up a mountain. And they might start on opposite sides, but as they get towards the peak, the transcendent, entering into the formless realm of singularity and unity and emptiness and pure awareness, they all start to say the same thing in different ways. Sometimes this is called perennialism, the perennial tradition that has manifested in all of these different cultural guises throughout the ages. And all of the paths up the mountain and these symbol sets are about cultivating a relationship with the infinite. We exist here in seemingly finite forms. This is another way that represented. The relative world is finite and measurable. The absolute realm is infinite and immeasurable. These symbols represent, and these traditions represent a bridge, a paradoxical overlap between the infinite and the finite. Bringing these together, the paradoxical overlap is where these symbols exist. And in that, they are a language of the soul. The soul is our personal experience of that overlap between the infinite and the finite. There's part of us that is really finite and is going to die. And there's a part of us that is unified with the infinite. How could we ever be separate from the infinite? The infinite is all that is. There's no way that we couldn't be a part of it inherently. It includes us. So this experience of being both infinite and finite is the level of our soul. If we want to transcend our limitations, we need to get into contact and start living and perceiving and acting from the realm of the infinite, from our soul's level of reality. These traditional symbol sets are tools or a language for helping you to do that. So now I want to explain this map that I mentioned a little bit ago. It's called the creative order. Dr. Robert D. McDonald taught this to me. It's an evolution of I forget what they're called in NLP, but Robert Dilts invented this model of these levels. And this is a evolution of that, so you could know the history of this tradition. And so it's a causality, a chain of cause and effect. So it's getting back to what is the first principle that causes all of these other things to change. So it's very useful and powerful to understand this in your life and apply it. Okay, so at the very top, the peak and beyond, we have spirit, the infinite, inconceivable, God, universe, quantum, whatever you want to call it, is spirit. We're going to call it spirit for now. And like the pure light of oneness shining through the crystal that refracts out into a rainbow of light, that crystal is the soul. So the spirit creates soul. And the soul level of reality, like we said, is that overlap between infinite and finite. The soul creates our identity. And from our identity flow our beliefs. From our beliefs come all of the thoughts that we can think. If we believe something is possible, we'll think different thoughts than if we don't think that thing is possible. So our beliefs cause all of our thoughts. And our thoughts cause all of our emotions. Our emotions cause all of our actions. And our actions contribute to, in a large degree, all of the results and circumstances that we find ourselves in the world. So our external reality becomes a result of this first cause of spirit and soul and identity and our beliefs and so on. So we can focus on changing our reality at the level of thought. People talk about mindset. It's very important. If you realize you can think differently and feel differently, that's extremely empowering. But you can go up a level and shift your beliefs. You can go up another level and shift your identity. Shifting your identity will change everything below it. And this is an extremely high level of skill in the world to navigate as an identity shifter. And yet there's a level beyond this, because your identity is not true. We're not the things that we identify with. We are actually infinite awareness. And yet we do have an identity. And the way to break free from the limitations of our identity in the easiest and the fastest way possible is to connect with the infinite, which is to connect to the level of our soul, which is to speak the language of the soul. Now, I want to tell a story about synchronicity that illustrates this a little bit. Synchronicity you may have experienced if you were thinking about someone and then the phone rang and it was that person. This is like a minor common occurrence of synchronicity. The term itself comes from Carl Jung, a psychotherapist that coined the term archetype and collective unconscious, words that are becoming more and more common these days. One day, he was sitting, I believe in Zurich in Germany, or Switzerland. He was talking to a patient about her dreams. She was telling him about her dreams, and she started talking about, in the dream, there was this golden scarab. And right as she said that, they heard a on the window. And he looked over and saw the reflection, and he went and he realized that a gold scarab hit the window right as she was saying gold scarab. And so there was this alignment between her inner reality of her psyche and her dreams. By the way, psyche is a Greek word for soul. So psychology in the traditional sense was the study of the soul, much more than it was the study of the mind. And Carl Jung was really taking this level of approach to it by seeing dreams and synchronicities as this overlap between the internal world of the psyche and the seemingly external world of material manifest phenomena. And he realized there's a level of awareness that connects us to some higher, all-pervading intelligence that caused the meaningful, like it's not just a coincidence, it was meaningful and relevant to the interpretation of the dream and the development of his theories, and how all of those came together into a higher consonance of meaning that was like God winking by this golden scarab hitting the window. It's like the punctuation of a higher intelligence, an exclamation point, letting us know, yes, this is the soul level of awareness. This is the pathway between inner and outer, where seeming separation becomes meaningless. And we realize that it's all a singular substance of unity, and begin to enter into that absolute realm of infinite potential and infinite awareness. So the soul, people talk about soul searching, or, this work, it didn't really have that much soul in it, or that was a really soulful piece of music. We unconsciously represent this truth that everybody knows, that if you align with your soul, there's something deeper, more felt, and more fulfilling. Ancient cultures like Hinduism and ancient Chinese medicine represented this. Dharma, your sacred duty, or Ming, your life path. The teachings of this are really specific in Chinese medicine. Your Ming, which is your soul's path, is a contract. They have mouth, heaven, and earth. It's a contract. Those are the symbols that make it up, I believe. And it represents, they say, a contract between heaven and earth. Heaven is the realm of the infinite. Earth is the realm of the finite. So before we incarnated, we agreed to a specific path of function that only we could fulfill, that we were uniquely designed for. That is our solar path. That is the soul path of our soul. And it's a point in your back between your kidneys. It's actually the golden ratio point between your height. If you apply phi, the golden ratio is that point right there between your kidneys on your back. Is called Ming Men. Men translates as gateway, and it's explained as the gateway between form and formlessness. So it's this point where this life path purpose connects to your physical body and your physical form, and it's seen as the source of all of the heat that keeps you alive and gives you vitality and energy. And if we drift too far from our purpose, we get sick and we can die. But if we are really connected with our purpose, we have boundless energy and enthusiasm and feel really, really good. So you can see this, if you've ever had to work a job that you hated, it was like grinding. And if you did it long enough, it wore you down and made you sick. But if you were doing something that you really loved and you really felt aligned with it, you just couldn't wait to do it. And you would not eat and not sleep to do that thing. And you still had boundless energy for it. That is what I want for you. That is what these traditions want for you. It's to do the thing that you were designed to do, which achieves the highest good for yourself and for society. The teachings surrounding these principles are their guides for us to remember how to create the good, the beautiful, the wise, the strong, the pleasurable. The further that we drift from living in alignment with these transcendent truths of esoteric traditions, the more chaos and disease there is in the world. But the more we come into alignment with them, the more strength and health and happiness pervade within us and within the world. So our soul's purpose is the thing that we are uniquely designed to do. We have built-in guidance. We feel the most alive when we're doing that thing. And it creates the highest good for society as a whole, for the collective, and for us individually. I call that the soul's path, the solar path, rather, sort of a play on words. Solar in the sense of a sun. The sun is this source of energy and organizing information, a central organizing principle that keeps everything alive and fuels everything in our solar system. Everything revolves around it. Everything is nourished by it. And our soul's path is the same way. It is of central importance in everything in our lives, and our whole incarnation revolves around our solar path. It is the central organizing principle of our existence, the overlap between us as individuals and the multitude of the world of forms, the collective. So what I really want for everybody is to find their flow, to find their soul purpose, and to live it. When we're in a flow state, there is a neurological cocktail of chemicals that is only available to us when we're doing that. And it is the most pleasurable, intense, desirable state of being that is the most fulfilling to us. And I want you to know that these symbol sets, these traditional symbol sets, could be the zodiac and astrology, the I Ching, the runes, the tarot. There's countless others, all of the myths and stories of all of the cultures around the world are expansions of these principles. I want you to know that these come to us from a transcendent realm, and the more that we interact with them, the more that we surpass our limitations. We have to interact with them at the level of soul and really open ourselves up to higher, deeper meaning and synchronicity, interacting with them and finding synchronicity and creating synchronicity as the sign that we're on the right path. If you have ever struggled to find joy and meaningful connection in your community and the people that you work with, and just in your relationship to yourself and the work that you do, I want you to take the step to connect with your soul in these symbol sets. That could be through me, or it could be through your own research out in the world. But I have created a free guide that right now I'm calling Cheat Codes for the Master Game. The Master Game is spiritual awakening in a way that creates material success and abundance in this world of forms. So I've created a guide using the runes, which are esoteric principles related to the sounds that our language speak. That we speak with our language rather. If you are a native English speaker, the runes fit seamlessly with the way that your brain evolved learning English. So it's going to fit really naturally and seamlessly. If you don't know where to start, you're not sure what symbol set to use, use whatever resonates with you. Use whatever's available, whatever teacher shows up in your life. And if you're not sure, check out the runes. I have a free guide downloadable below. It has all 24 laid out in the whole scope of life and existence and how to apply these deep transcendent truths. It's like a periodic table of truth and how to apply things to reality. Whenever you act at this level, it's like cheat codes. It allows you to succeed faster and more powerfully than you ever imagined possible before. So go ahead and check that out. And if you like this sort of content, go ahead and subscribe, go ahead and like, leave me a comment. All of these things boost the algorithm. I'm deeply grateful if you go ahead and do those things, and enjoy. Welcome to the Master Game.